Don't Move is Netflix's latest movie to hit the platform, and it's a thriller which is centered around a woman called Iris who woke up and wanted to end it all following the death of her son. But after a chance encounter with a man calling himself Richard, she changed her mind after he talked her out of it. But what she didn't know was that the death that she was embracing that very morning would be coming after her through the hands of Richard moments after she decided that she wanted to live. With an ending that connected to the very accident that happened with Richard and the so-called clarity that he found as he looked into the eyes of his dying girlfriend, let's discuss the movie, break down the ending, and I'll also share my thoughts on it too. Here is a review of Don't Move and the ending explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The ending explained. When it came to the ending of this movie, we saw that Iris's movement was starting to come back. This was because the paralytic agent was starting to wear off. It took 20 minutes to kick in where it would slowly paralyze the subject, and then that would last for around an hour. But from there, you'd then regain movement and all of your previous functions. After a few close encounters where she was almost saved, such as encountering the strangers in the gas station, the police officer who pulled up next to the truck, and also Bill, Iris had to take it upon herself to fight back and get away from Richard. Richard was a master manipulator and was able to get people to open up even when they didn't want to. We saw this with Iris when she was on the edge of the cliff and ready to throw herself off, the police officer when he managed to get him on side, and we also saw it with Bill when he didn't want to open up about his wife but he eventually did. This was a technique that Iris actually tried to use on Richard towards the ending when she was speaking about his family in the car, and she mentioned how she knew what it was like to lose a child and that she didn't want him to experience that with him going to jail. However, it didn't work. That along with the fact that she tried to inject him with the paralytic agent and failed. This made him want to change his plans, and instead of spending the weekend with her like he did all of his other victims, he knew that he had to deal with her in that moment. One, because she frustrated him, and secondly because his family were heading towards the cabin that he was planning on going to. Richard had a knife and a gun, and he planned on killing her, and then with the cylinder blocks letting her just sink to the bottom of the lake. As he was on the cusp of doing so, Iris mentioned to him that she wanted him to get Mateo's boat out of her pocket. This was where she was able to get the knife out of his back pocket, stab him, and then shoot him, causing him to have to swim to the bank. With her also surviving after the boat was sinking, she went over to him and said the words, "Thank you." 2 words that it felt like she was always going to say. She specifically said, "Thank you," because those were the words that he said to Chloe, his girlfriend several years ago that died in a car that he was driving. He said those words to her because when she was on the cusp of dying, he said he found his clarity and he felt God. That was the very moment that he changed his life and became a killer. Even though Iris went through a traumatic experience that day and was on the cusp of death on several occasions, it took her being close to death to find the clarity and realize that she didn't actually want to die. Not like what she thought when she woke up that morning and was going to leap off the edge of the cliff when her son died. So the main reason why she said thank you was because she felt she found clarity on that day. Being unable to move and just looking at the world through her eyes and taking everything in whilst also feeling like death was going to occur was something that made her realize that she wanted to live. There was no key message to take away from this film, but it was more so focused on the character feeling like death was the very thing that she wanted. But by the end, she was a transformed individual where she quite literally fought to live after needing to avoid death. My review of the movie. I thought this film was nothing special, it was just okay. I don't think it was incredible in terms of its execution, but it did manage to evoke the feeling of tension and I was hooked for most of it. The main thing that disappointed me was the way that the ending unfolded. Throughout the entirety of the movie, we'd seen that Richard was this person that was able to talk his way into being viewed as a trustworthy individual. It happened with Bill and it happened with the police officer, but when it went wrong, he'd kill them in horrific ways. Let's also bear in mind, this wasn't the first time that he'd kidnapped somebody. As he said, you'll go through the process everybody does when speaking to Iris after he poisoned her. And as well, his wife on the phone mentioned that he did those weekend trips regularly. So he was clearly a seasoned killer. But when it came to the ending where the both of them were on the boat and he was on the cusp of killing Iris, he ended up doing something kind for her in her final moments, getting her dead son's boat out of her back pocket. This ultimately led to his demise because she grabbed his knife, stabbed him, and then shot him. I just didn't buy the fact that Richard would have done it. He was a psychopath that had a taste for killing and had done it before. He didn't care for Iris, so why would he allow her to have a piece of comfort in her final moments? We saw that he didn't allow her to have comfort at any other points that she was his hostage, so the ending just made it lose some points for me. Plus, I'd also say that Iris making it out of the boat and back to safety was something that just felt a bit predictable. I quite like to be surprised in movies, and the very idea that Iris found her feeling of life again but had it taken away even after defeating him would have been a shocking and powerful ending in a completely different way. When it came to the feeling that the movie gave me, it was one that had me on the edge of my seat wondering if she'd get caught when she was in Bill's, and then when the motor function skills came back, I was sitting there wondering if she'd be able to fight back. When she put the needle in him but didn't have the strength to push it down, that did get me, because I thought that was where the twist was going to happen, so I'd say that the movie achieved the feeling that it wanted to make the viewer have. With regards to the performances, I thought they were good. Finn Wittrock played a similar character to how we saw him in American Horror Story Freak Show, a psychotic killer with extreme mental problems. So it was as if he just had to channel that role from 10 years ago. I think he suits those roles really well, and he's able to capture the creepy yet charming vibe perfectly. There's something about the smile and the eyes when he plays a character like that, it just suits it. I'd also say Kelsey Aspel delivered a strong performance. It was a really intimate cast, so for a lot of the time she had to carry the story on her own, all whilst not being able to move. So a lot of her acting came from her breathing, eyes and facial expressions, something that was impressive to see. I thought the use of a point of view shot when we were seeing Iris was a decision that I thought worked well. The sound would be warped, the visuals would go slightly warped too, and it really allowed us to understand what was going on inside of her head. When she was lying there, unable to move, you could feel the pain that she was in and the screaming that was going on inside of her head. So, time for the big question. Is this movie worth watching? Personally, I don't think it's anything special, but if you like thriller movies where you're made to feel the tension and you're on the edge of your seat for a lot of it, then it's probably worth a watch. It's one that doesn't take that long to get through either, because it's only an hour and a half. I just think the ending is a bit of a disappointment because it ultimately comes down to a foolish mistake made by a seasoned killer. Something that probably wouldn't happen. I would have preferred a twist of some kind. It's good, but nothing special. I don't think it's one that will live long in the memory of the viewer as time goes by, but that's just me. Give it a watch and see what you think. So, there you have it. A review of Don't Move and the ending explained. If you want to see more videos on your favorite TV shows and movies broken down, then click on the card in the top corner. There's an entire playlist there. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rated this movie out of 5 stars, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this movie? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.